Yep, I think we're live now.
So she's.
We're all set.
I saw she listed Denise's stuff today
Okay.
when we closed it.
It's December 11, 2019 at 7:07. I call the regular meeting to order. Roll call.
Bennett.
Here.
Bertolo.
Here.
Lane. Mealy.
Here.
Wotecki.
Here.
Matthews.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for a moment of silence for Councilman Gary Sinning, who passed away last month. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the annual schedule. A regular meeting herefore adopted and posted on the public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, the Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who have requested the mailing of such schedule, and a copy of said schedules remained on file in the office of the Borough Clerk from and since November 29, 2018. Before we get into the approval of the minutes, we have an acknowledgement that we'd like to acknowledge for one of our own. We have Councilman Bertolo, who's going to be leaving us shortly, and he will be missed, but we wanted to acknowledge the time that he has spent with us and recognize you, both as a friend and a colleague, and we want to know if you would come down so we can present you and the rest of the council come down and stand with you as you receive your plaque. Well, if you ever come back, you have to give it back.
Leave the microphone.
He's got his.
So no one else gets to speak. It's to ensure no one else speaks.
John, your colleagues come here tonight, not to say goodbye, but to remember the influence you've had on the council and the leadership that you've shown. It wasn't hard to decide it was time to honor you for what you've done to the community. We have a proclamation, and normally I don't read these, but since you're a captive audience, I will. It said, whereas John N. Bertolo, a lifelong resident, and after 16 years of dedicated service as a member of the Municipal Council of Borough of Hawthorne, has decided not to seek re-election. Whereas John's long service as a member of the council, where he served multiple times as council president, vice president, and chair of numerous committees, is representative of a lifetime of service to the only community which he's ever called home. Whereas during John's tenure on the council, he was a leading member of the Ordinance, Finance, and Personnel Committees, leaving a legacy that includes comprehensive commuter parking program, a solution to the long-standing flooding problems on Royal Avenue, and the overhaul of the zoning ordinance to meet the needs of the 21st century community. And whereas John is a leading member of the Mohawks Athletic Club, the Hawthorne Lions Club, the Hawthorne High School Booster Club, and previously the Hawthorne Rotary Club, serving on numerous roles including president of each. Whereas John is also a longtime volunteer at St. Anthony's Church, from his earliest years as an altar server to maintaining the Zeppeli booth, and that's where John and I met. Year after year at St. Anthony. Thanks, Steve. Where will you be next year? Parish feast. And whereas John's true passion has always been working with the youth in our community, actively involved in all levels of youth activities, from Little League to Booster Club, to serving on the Board of Recreation, to acting as Santa, and more than anything through his love of the Boys and Girls Club of Hawthorne, where he went from a member of the Board of Trustees to ultimately serving as CEO. And whereas John raised his children, Danielle and John in Hawthorne, and now has the joy of watching his grandchildren grow in a community where Bertolo name carries with it a legacy of volunteerism and good works, whereas in a community filled with volunteers, few if any have dedicated themselves more generously to the service of his neighbors than John Bertolo. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Municipal Council of the Borough of Hawthorne, on behalf of its citizens, thanks John N. Bertolo for his years of service on the Municipal Council and for his commitment to the people of this grateful community. It's signed by me and the entire council, including Gary. Congratulations.
Come on. Hold on.
Yeah, we can crop you out.
This is what they made Photoshop for us.
Hey, Mayor's vote.
Okay, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Somebody's not happy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dominic.
Manson doesn't want to leave.
Well, he's not the only one.
That was Rich. Great job. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. Council President, I hope the public realizes that we not only serve together to help better the borough of Hawthorne, but we become our own family in serving the community. So it's really an honor to have served with John and all of you, and I'll save that for my next speech.
If I could, I just want to take a moment, as I close my term on the Borough Council after serving 16 years, I have to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve my community. I want to thank my family for surprising me tonight and coming out, my friends and neighbors who have supported me in my past campaigns and always offered their help. I want to thank Mayor Goldberg, my fellow council members, Borough Administrator Eric Maurer, Borough Attorney Mike Pasquale, Engineer Steve Boswell, our Borough Clerk, Lori DeBella, who I was happy to hire when we were on the Personnel Committee. We knew she was going to do wonderful things in this town. Our Deputy Borough Clerk, Nancy Salisbury, our Administrative Assistant, Ellen Brogna, and really all of the borough employees who do such a great job managing the day-to-day businesses of this great community. I want to thank our police, fire, and ambulance personnel who are second to none in providing outstanding professional services to the citizens of our town. And last, but certainly not least, I offer a special thanks to all the volunteers who continue to give back to our community and to continue to make a difference in the lives of so many people in our town. I want to offer my best wishes to Councilwoman-elect Reina Leosa. I am confident that Reina will do an outstanding job as our Ward 2 council representative in the future. You know, as I reminisced about my 16 years on the council, I asked myself which accomplishments I was most proud of. The commuter parking ordinance, frugal budgets year after year, replacing fire apparatus, upgrading the DPW fleet, improvements to our infrastructure, pool and tennis court upgrades, and the wonderful band shell come to mind. But without a doubt, I am most proud of the civility and teamwork displayed by the Borough Council and administration. It's painful to see the contentiousness in Washington, D.C., Trenton, and many surrounding communities. Here in Hawthorne, we work together for the betterment of our community. Our council meetings may have become a little less dramatic compared to meetings from years ago, but our accomplishments over the course of those 16 years has been outstanding, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And just to set the record straight, I'm not necessarily retiring from politics. I am taking time off to recharge my batteries and focus on my responsibilities at the Boys and Girls Club. But you know, with elections occurring every 2 years, you never know what the future may bring. I love this community. I will always bleed Hawthorne blue, and I will always volunteer to keep this community a great place to live. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve, and I wish you all a very healthy and happy new year. God bless you all, and God bless the great borough of Hawthorne.
heavy, you know. Lori, grab Judy before she... Judy? John. Johnny.
Where's your problem?
Somebody get Johnny?
Maybe they didn't elevate, sure. Where's good clothes?
We got him.
Leave it.
Sue, your family.
Just when I think I'm out, they keep pulling me back in.
Get Jimmy up there.
Jimmy, your family.
Yes, thank
What the heck?
Black sheep perhaps, but still family.
I expect you to take care of this one. She's my favorite sister, too. She is.
Count of three now, everybody ready? One, two, okay, 1, 2, cheese and three.
Run, John, before they think of something else.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Are we done now? Can I put this?
I think you put it back.
Laura, can I put this back now?
Anybody else want a picture of Councilman Bertolo?
Can I put this back now? How about the boys? Boys, you want me? Come on up.
Put it back, Mike, we'll take it.
Come on. You come. No, not yet, not yet.
They want a picture with Bertolo.
Oh, my God.
Anybody who wants a picture with Bertolo, come on up.
It's the most work Michael's done in weeks.
Come on, youth work group, let's go. Listen, what's what you do best is youth athletics. There it is.
Picture with that.
It's okay, Judy, we are.
It's okay, John will buy 8x10s.
You need the front row kneeling.
Oh, really?
John's
John
gotta
just
go
tells
right
me.
Front row kneel.
Look at it, get him in.
Tall boys in the back. There we go.
All right. Everybody see the camera?
Get your,
Pay attention, Masco.
Okay, okay. Everybody gonna smile and look at me.
Cooperstown, 1, 2, 3.
It's awfully nice of Councilman Bertolo to offer to pay for the whole trip.
It's his going away gift.
What a guy!
As chairman of the finance committee, I can make that happen.
Steve, you want your picture taken on Bertolo?
All right.
Anybody else want a
Anyone
picture?
else? Lori?
Stop asking.
We'll have to start charging.
Thank
you, Judy.
He's no longer an employee.
That's right.
Okay.
Are you done posing?
I'm good.
I still say if you come back, you gotta get the plaque back. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Can I have approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of November 18th, 2019, and the bid minutes for the light trucks and vehicles maintenance and repairs contract?
So moved.
Motion by Mealy, second by Witecki. Any discussion? Well, it was nice to see somebody actually bid on it this time.
Three people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Witecki?
Yes.
Mealy?
Yes.
Lane?
Still not here.
Bertolo?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. Open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard on agenda items, please raise your hand and come forward to the microphone.
Did they give you another answer?
No, because Yeah, they're gonna go at the end, but we're okay, because we're not that bad. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved. Second?
All those in favor, motion by Witecki, second by Bertolo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances. We have ordinance number 2240-19, an ordinance accepting from the County of Passaic a portion of Block 81, Lot 1, as depicted on the tax map of the Borough of Hawthorne. Now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard regarding this ordinance, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Does anyone wish to be heard seeing this ordinance? Seeing none, I entertain a motion that the public hearing on this ordinance be closed and that it be resolved this ordinance was posted on the bulletin board in which public notices are customarily posted, published in the Hawthorne Press, and available on the borough website. Copies of said ordinance were made available to the general public. Now therefore be resolved, this ordinance be adopted, and the clerk is authorized to advertise the same according to law. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Bennett, second by Witecki. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertolo,
Abstain?
Mealy,
Yes.
Witecki,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2241-19, an ordinance authorizing for a lease agreement between the Borough of Hawthorne and the Hawthorne Boys and Girls Club for property known as portion of Block 81, Lot 1, for use by the boys of the club as a playground area. I'll now open the meeting to public. If anyone desires to be heard regarding this ordinance, please raise your hand and be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for this ordinance. Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, I entertain a motion the public hearing on this ordinance be closed and it be resolved that this ordinance was posted on the bulletin board in which public notices are customarily posted, published in the Hawthorne Press, and available on the borough website. Copies of said ordinance were made available to the general public, and now therefore be it resolved this ordinance be adopted and the clerk made available to the public. Now therefore be resolved this ordinance be adopted and the clerk is authorized to advertise the same according to law. Have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Bennett, second by Witecki.
You want to explain that, Frank?
Basically, the playground that has been existing next to the Boys and Girls Club was found out that the property that it was located on was county property, so the county deeded the piece of property that was under it to the borough, which was the last ordinance. And this ordinance is basically a lease from the borough to the Boys and Girls Club to let them to continue using it as it always has been.
Just a point of clarification, it's a portion, it's not the whole.
Just a piece of it. Roll call.
Witecki,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Bertolo,
Abstain?
Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Old business. Joe, we'll start your way.
All right. I have 4 old items. Stump removal at the pool.
I'll have to check. I know that
They're still there.
I know. We have a lot of work that's pending with our contractor, and we're prioritizing the things that can be an actual.
All right, so
danger.
I'm going to make this, I'm going to arc it up. I think it's a safety issue. As I'm working the tree lot, I'm watching people pull out of the lot or pull into the lot, and almost, they're clipping the trunk because it's just standing up so high. So either we can bring it down a little bit lower, or it needs to be removed. I did bring this up in October. I actually brought it up last October. So it's more than a year old, and it is a safety concern. Update on the PSE&G road project?
They're still proceeding. Over the winter, they're going to be working on services to houses, so they won't have the trenches, which are harder to close up, in case we have situations with snow. But they're proceeding over the winter.
They are going to proceed.
Yeah, I know they have. They're working. What they've told me is they're going to restrict the work to just on house services. So you're talking about small excavations at a time, which are easily buttoned up if we have bad weather.
They have not started installing the bollards, as Dr. Boswell pointed out, is necessary.
That's a PSC&G thing, not
ours.
not ours.
It's not ours, no.
No.
Dr. Boswell, though, did point out that it is required, and they're still not installing them.
Yeah, but that would be not on us.
I think it's a requirement of the borough.
Yeah, but
It's code.
It's not a borough code, but it is a requirement.
Right.
He's making note of it.
Oh, okay. Lights at the band shell, we already spoke about. Thank you very much. And is there an update on the re-eval?
We were, as of the end of November, we were 85% completed with the residential inspections, 99% complete with the commercial industrial properties. It will not be done by the end of this calendar year. We don't expect it to be, nor does it really need to be. The real deadline for completing the project, not completing the inspections, which have to be done earlier, is really like the middle of March. So we're behind where we had intended to be when we initially planned the project, but given the late start because there were the issues with the state on the tax maps, that's which has pushed back the progress on the project.
I wouldn't blame that on that, Eric, because we were being told by the evaluation company that they were just going to peel off workers and add them to it to make up the difference, and that never happened. So whether the
I
tax
think it
maps
happened
are
late. That's
slow,
why it's going a little faster in November than it did in earlier months.
they still haven't been in my neighborhood. So I understand what they're telling you, but as long as it doesn't affect us, as you and I spoke, I just want to make sure that there's plenty of time left for our residents to have conversations, to question their valuations, and that part's not going to get rushed and crammed through because our reevaluation company is a little behind in their part
We
of the
will
project.
continue to advise them of our position on that and push them for completion earlier rather than later.
Thank you.
John?
No, I talked to Eric, and everything is squared away.
Last chance, John.
Take some shots at you, Eric?
Bruce? No. Dominic? Steve, I just had one thing about the lights on downtown.
Yeah, we have this week or next, Ken Post, our electrical engineer, is gonna go out at night with Bob Scully, and they're gonna look at every one of them. Because what the issue they believe is right now is that some of the detectors, someone turns on a light on the second floor, it shines on the photo cell, it thinks it's daytime, shuts off the light. That's what they think is causing it. We're gonna determine it. And what we'll do in that case is we'll just cap it. You know, we'll figure out a solution. And that should happen either this week or next.
Okay. Fair enough. Dominic, we'll start your way with new business.
I'm okay.
Bruce?
No.
John?
Eric, just following up, I guess could have been older new, I know we allocated the money for the pedestrian signs. Have we done anything ordering them?
Yeah, we've ordered them. We've been in communication as they're in the build-out stage. I think that they're in Texas or someplace, and we expect them shipped shortly.
Good, great. And we'll be able to install them throughout the winter, I would think.
I would think so.
Okay, if the weather holds up. Great.
They're not golden signs though, John.
They're not golden.
Coming from Ohio.
That's true.
They may be a bit
You may
more
have to use
expensive than the golden
shovels
shovels.
Right.
to dig the hole, but they're not golden signs. I'm good.
Joe?
Just one, Goffel Road at the mill, the parking down there, there's parking. I know every once in a while we have to go down there and
Yep.
remind the,
Gotta shake the tree once in a while.
That it?
that's all.
Okay. Mayor, we'll turn to your administrative agenda.
Thank you, Council President. The Borough of Hawthorne extends its sympathies to Jersey City on the tragic
wait,
shootings.
I'm sorry. I'm out of order.
Yep.
New business was our presentation from our Shade Tree Commission.
Can we jump in?
Administration?
Mayor wanted to complete that because that was pretty tragic.
All right, let me just complete what I was going to say. As I said, the Borough of Hawthorne extends its sympathies in Jersey City on the tragic shootings and loss of life in their city yesterday. We stand in solidarity with their police and their residents. Now you can.
Thank you. If we have a presentation up on the screen.
There it is.
Ooh.
First, I just want to say thank you for giving me a few minutes on the agenda today to talk about the Hawthorne Shade Tree Achievements for 2019. I think this is the first time I've seen such a large audience. For the boys that are here, do you recall when you were in grammar school, since you're all in middle school now, do you remember getting little stick trees? Yeah. Remember that? That was us. We're the Hawthorne Shade Tree.
Are they big now?
She liked them back, is what she said.
The Hawthorne Shade Tree, for the group that's here tonight, all the trees that line the street for the most part, the ones that are, you know, between the street and the sidewalks, those are trees that are part of the borough of Hawthorne. And we are a group within the town that oversees those trees and the maintenance, and we continue to plant new trees when trees die and we take them out. So when you get those little trees, plant them and they grow, and you know, we keep what we call an urban canopy going. So that's what I know.
No, you didn't ask them if they have wooden baseball bats. If it wasn't for you planting
Only
trees,
recycled bats. Only recycled.
if you didn't plant the trees, they wouldn't have bats, do you?
But thank you. It was another busy year for the Hawthorne Shade Tree this year. And in 2019, oops, I just right here. Thank you. I know some may have already seen a little bit of the presentation, but let's just go to,
Aim it at the computer.
Steve's heading away.
Kind of the bottom right. The other one, three ups.
Yeah, they're right.
Oh, there you go. All right. So a couple of major accomplishments for the Shade Tree Commission. First, we do some of our normal administrative work, which is submit our accomplishments, which is a little different format than what we're presenting tonight, but a lot of the same content. We talked about this in July, but we got approval on our certified forestry management plan, which covers the town for the next 5 years. That was a major accomplishment. We had lapsed for a couple of years, so that was a great effort between our consultant and other members of our commission. And we were acknowledged as Tree City USA for the 27th year in a row. From a commission work standpoint, I put a couple of extra notes in my document here, but this year alone, we were able to handle, and some are still in the pipeline, as Eric mentioned a little bit earlier, but 138 requests for prunings and 136 trees were removed. And that doesn't include the 55 plus trees that were removed as part of the road work. Just from a kind of the past 3 years since I've been chairperson on the Shade Tree Commission, in total, we have pruned approximately 330 trees, and we've removed approximately 466 trees. Okay, so when we do tree replantings, you can see for the volume that's coming out, as I spoke about this in July, we're really just trying to maintain what we have, because we've, especially with Kevin on board, Kevin Alberta, our arborist, I think there was a period of time where things were a little stagnant, let's say, in maintaining our urban forest, and we've really spent a lot of time the past couple of years, 2 years specifically, sort of getting caught up. Let's see, just a couple of other high-level things. One major achievement that I wanted to be sure that was done prior to year-end and has been completed is a revised tree inventory. So we did hire Alberta Tree Services to go around, and they have documented 3,500 trees in the town as part of our urban forest, and that is on our iTree system, which is a state-run, a federal website, where we can now maintain what trees are, you know, as they've gone around, what doesn't look good, what needs pruning, you know, where each tree is. So it's a great starting point for us to continue maintaining trees. So we've had some areas of town that have some very old trees, and now we can look at that and say, you know, is it time for these trees? Have they reached their life cycle? And now it's time for them to be removed and replant, instead of wiping out certain areas and starting from scratch. Just a statistic here, and it's a rough estimate, but based on the trees that we've inventoried, so the 3,500, over the past 3 years, with the numbers that I've provided on what we've pruned and removed, we've basically kind of ad hoc maintained about 23% of the trees in town, you know, whether it was pruning or removal. Okay. A couple of other things, these are little things, but you know, ongoing service to the community is one of my pillars for the Shade Tree Commission, as well as, you know, monitoring budgets. But based on some feedback from residents that were actual letters in the Hawthorne Press, I created actually my little document here, just a handout for residents about who the Shade Tree is, what we do, asking for trees, just a basic one, you know, back and forth, where they can get a better understanding of what we're about. And while we do have a resident Q&A on our website for our town events, we did create a trifold, again, of just what we do and some of the common questions that we hear from our residents. So those were two nice adds to the to our commission. Sorry, next page. We participate in multiple borough events, whether it's distributing tree saplings to our students, celebration. We do an Arbor Day event. This past year we did it with the Boy Scouts at the municipal pool. And for those who may have seen it in the Hawthorne Press, Al Iannacone was able to secure 1,000 daffodils from the Dig In grant. And so we distributed these daffodils to all the borough elementary schools, and he actually went and helped the kids plant them. So that was really nice. From a commission standpoint, we did make some changes this year. So we did add Jay Van Hoff as an alternate, and just due to the work that we have to do with the Shade Tree and personal commitments, we did configure our vice chairperson from Tom Dwyer to Al Iannacone, so Al is a nice add to the vice chair role. And then finally, just some commissioner training, which is a requirement that we have each year. For next year goals, this may come up a little bit later in tonight's agenda, but our fall planting was actually now moved to spring of 2020. Based on that move, we expect maybe 50 to 70 trees planted. We do have locations. Those locations have been vetted, so we're ready to go on that. We will continue to work with the borough on any tree removals and questions about trees due to upcoming road work. We will focus on the commissioners all attending at least one training session this year. And then Arbor Day, this year was a nice little change. We did get a request specifically from the Ecology Club at the Hawthorne High School, so we look forward to planting 2 trees on the Hawthorne High School premises with the help of the Ecology Club. And then again, just some of the basic submissions that we need to do this state. The last item is actually kind of interesting. If anyone read about Salem, New Jersey, there was a 600-year-old oak that fell. You know, it extended its life. 600 years is pretty amazing. The state is attempting to distribute a sapling to all boroughs in the state of New Jersey to keep this 600-year-old tree, the memory of it, alive. So we'll be waiting for distribution information, and we will make every effort to get one of the saplings here in Hawthorne. And then what isn't here, but again will continue to be a focus for the Hawthorne Shade Tree, which is very near and dear to my heart, is to continue improving service to our residents, which there's always room for improvement. I think there still is room for improvement, but that is a big focus under my purview, and also to continue looking for cost efficiencies and managing our dollars that we have to spend on tree remediation. And that's it. I thank you very much, council people, for supporting us as always. Councilman Luchecki, thank you as always, attending all our meetings. We appreciate your insight and guidance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you,
Drea.
Drea.
I know it's as a volunteer, it's not an easy task pleasing everyone. In fact, it's the opposite. It's hard to please most, but thank you for what you do, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Drea.
Okay, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. I'm just going to reiterate the borough stands with Jersey City in their time of trial and tribulation. In addition, we were saddened to hear of the fire this morning at the Most Blessed Sacrament Church in Franklin Lakes. We're certain that out of the ashes will spring new hope. And it just was a beautiful church, and I was just sorry to hear of that as well. On November 20th, the Borough of Hawthorne lost treasured Hawthorne councilman and public servant Gary Sinning. Gary's passing shocked all of us, and we will be profoundly missed. Not only was Gary the 3rd Ward councilman for 21 years, he also served on the Board of Education, and he volunteered for more than 30 years in the Hawthorne Baseball Softball Association as coach and officer. Gary was a great husband to Bernice, a great father, grandfather, public servant, and true friend. Let's remember Gary with a smile, celebrating a life well lived. The borough tree lighting was last Friday night, and we had a very large crowd, and I'd like to thank a few people and groups that made the event a success. Frankie Scola at Bagel Express and Anna Marie Sasso at Remax Group for providing the hot chocolate. Dunkin' Donuts at 84 Golfville Road for donation of the coffee. Keith Williams and the Hawthorne High School Band. Katie Schretner and the high school cheerleaders. PCTI Tectones, Cubmaster Kim Stellingworth and Pack 30 Cub Scouts, Dana Hampson and the Girl Scouts who helped us light the tree, and the numerous staff and volunteers that helped make it a success. In particular, I just want to call out my administrative assistant, Ellen Bragno, for her continued good work. Also, at this time of the year, I'd like to thank the Hawthorne Christian Academy, the Hawthorne Library, the Hawthorne Cub Scout Pack 85, Jefferson School PTO and the VFW and Auxiliary, the Lions Club, and many others who generously donated to our Hawthorne food pantry. Their generosity in donating for others less fortunate in order for them to have a great holiday is very much appreciated. Two of our residents celebrated a 100th birthday most recently, Margaret Zilski and Doris Holmes Mascari. May they both enjoy continued good health and happiness. I was able to give a proclamation to Miss Mascari just the other day. And John, I think a bigger Yankee fan than you, if that's possible.
I heard.
On a personal note, I would be remiss not to thank and commend my friend John Bertolo for his services to the Borough of Hawthorne. As councilman, he will be missed, but I know he's not going to disappear. And finally, with it's all that's happening in our state, our nation, and the world, my New Year's wish is for peace and goodwill for all mankind. I do have a proclamation tonight, and I believe, Anthony, you're in the audience, Anthony DeLallo, if you would come up. Again, the camera's over there, so you can be in the camera. Proclamation, drive sober, get pulled over 2019, a year-end holiday crackdown. Whereas approximately 1/3 of all fatal traffic crashes in the United States involved impaired drivers. Whereas impaired driver crashes killed 10,551 people in the United States in 2018. Whereas impaired driving crashes cost the United States almost $44 billion a year. And whereas during the past 5 years, New Jersey roadways experienced 36,778 crashes and 679 fatalities involving impaired drivers. And whereas an enforcement crackdown is planned to combat impaired driving, whereas the year-end holiday season is traditionally a time for social gatherings which include alcohol. And whereas the State of New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety has asked the law enforcement agencies throughout the state to participate in the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2019 year-end holiday crackdown. Whereas the project will involve increased impaired driving enforcement from December 6, 2019 through January 1st, 2020. So Steve, they're already looking for you.
Thanks.
Whereas an increase in impaired driving enforcement and a reduction in impaired driving will save lives and on our roadways.
Therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and council of the Borough of Hawthorne declare its support for the dry, sober, or get pulled over 2019 year-end holiday crackdown from December 6th through January 1st, and pledges to increase awareness of the dangers of drinking and driving. It's signed by me and the entire council, and Anthony, I'm giving you this on behalf of the police department. Thank you, and thank you for all the work our police department does.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything?
Thank you and the council for your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just so proud. I had cataract surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I have no glass in this eye, so it's been quite a challenge to read the proclamations tonight, but I thank you all for your indulgence in that. I now call upon my favorite borough attorney, like I have more than one, Michael J. Pasquale, for his report.
Oh, gee, thank you, Mayor. I don't even know what to say after that. You guys having fun? Are you sure you really, if you knew you had to sit through this, would you really want to go to Cooperstown? I mean, God.
Even more now.
Yeah, oh, man. Anyway, to continue the somber, while we hear more in the passing of our good friend Gary Sinning, our neighbors in North Haledon tonight are meeting and mourning the passing of Keith Salviano, councilman there, great guy, and left us way too young and way too suddenly, so. On the affordable housing front, just quickly, a settlement agreement has been negotiated with the owner of 204 Wagler Road. I'll be discussing that with the council, and also in the very near future with the planning board. We continue to have discussions with the owner of the former Patriot site to see what we can work out there. I'm advising you this evening that I have drafted a complaint, which I will be filing in the next 2 days, to seek the immediate closure of Sarah's Famous Pizza. I'm looking for an injunction from the Superior Court to bar any use of that property. They do not have an approval from our Board of Health. There's an order closing the business. The property or the business owner has refused to honor that order, so we will be looking for a Superior Court judge to enforce the directive of our health officer, who in fact is the Patterson health officer, Dr. Prasad. So I will be filing that in the next 2 days. The business owner refuses to allow inspections and refuses to comply with law, so we need to do what we need to do, unfortunately.
Mike, the zoning officer was supposed to be looking at that too, because part of his certificate of compliance was to abide by getting all of his regular approvals by health. Why can't that be followed up
I've
on?
talked to the zoning officer, and I just said just that the restrictions say he has to comply with all other agency approvals, and I believe he is in the process as well of revoking his CUC.
Yeah, I mean,
The reality is that he's not going to close based on that order anymore, and we still need to go to Superior Court to enforce it.
correct. No matter what happens, he has indicated he will stay open for business. He refuses to comply with laws in this town or the state, and so we'll be in court by the end of this week.
Now, the question is, do you tie in the zoning with the complaint to the Superior Court? You tie in the
Yes.
zoning and the Board of Health, I would think, right?
All together.
And what happens to make him comply if Superior Court rules in our favor?
Well, you know, there's some of the what we're looking for is basically authority that our police department can, in fact, enforce the order, or whatever authority the court allows to enforce that order, which could be including, we are requesting the authority of our police officers to arrest persons who violate the order and charge them and criminally prosecute them for violation and contempt of a court order. Superior Court takes its orders very seriously, and so I'd like to hope that the judge will side with us on that request.
How does the landlord play into this, Michael?
Landlord simply has a lease. The landlord has the ability, I suppose, to seek to terminate his lease, but he would have to also go through a court process to get there. So no matter how we do it, we're in the Superior Court, but this individual has chosen to thumb his nose at the town and all of its officials over and again, and so we have to do what we have to do to protect our citizens. Right now, they do not have Board of Health approval, So anybody who eats there is doing so at his or her own risk. That's all I have on the one front. I do want to just mention, I've been here for 20 years. I've been the borough attorney now for 20 years. Gary Sinning was here for all 20. And this is the first time in all 20 years I've been the borough attorney. Gary is not a member of this council. The leader of the Democratic Party at one point described him to me as the perfect ward representative, because not only did he know every single person in his ward, but he knew who lived in the house before them and before them and before them. He knew every tree, every blade of grass, every double wooded pole in the neighborhood. He was a storyteller of legendary proportion. And yet the demeanor he had was that of a gentle giant, and he will be missed. As to my good friend John, few people have done more in this community as a volunteer than John. He comes from a long line of volunteers which this community has. He sits in a building named after his mentor, Gene Myers. He looks at a building right across the way named after my father.
Another mentor.
Another mentor. He's cut from that cloth. John has a lot of chapters yet to write, and that's the good news. But as to what the story stands today, the story's a terrific story, and your accomplishments have made us all proud. Mostly that we're proud you're our friend.
Thank you, Mike.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, and by the way,
Yes,
happy holiday to everybody and a happy new year.
thank you. You all know that Santa comes to Hawthorne once a year, Dr. Boswell sometimes 4 times, so we're very fortunate. I now call upon our borough engineer, Dr. Stephen Boswell.
Thank you for those kind words, Mayor. Apparently, the police force will be looking for me when I leave. Very nice. I'd also like to express my condolences and prayers to the Sinning family. You know that I've been here all 21 years that Gary was here, and the word that I use for Gary, the phrase I use for him, is gentle courage. I remember when we were talking about some sewer replacements in his ward, and the people came up to him and said, you know, the town should pay for this. And Gary knew politically the easy thing to say was, yes, they will, but Gary said, the rest of the town shouldn't pay for this. The people that get the benefit should pay for it. And he did it, and he still overwhelmingly won the election because people knew he had integrity. And it was an honor for me to work with him. And John, same for you. It's hard to follow Michael's speech there, but it's been a privilege. I've worked with you on a bunch of committees, especially Public Works. And I tell people that the thing that makes Hawthorne unique is that all the years I've served here, the overwhelming majority of the elected officials do it for the right reason. They do it because they love their town. As you say, you bleed Hawthorne blue. I tell my wife it's the quintessential Hallmark movie town, right down to the hot chocolate for the tree lighting ceremony. I mean, it's amazing. And working with you has been a privilege for me, and I thank you for that for the 16 years.
Thank you, Steve.
In terms of the engineering report, the Gothel Hill water storage tank is now complete. You have change order number 3, which is the last of the PCB contaminated soil to be removed. The Mary Street water tank is also complete. We just are waiting for some more results on some tests. If they come back clean, that'll be done. Lafayette Ave, 293 Lafayette Ave, the streetscape will be completed under the 2020 road program because we can no longer get the contract open. Remember, we talked about that at the last meeting. The NJDOT local aid project and road improvement project 2019 are both complete. Just punch list items are being done. The Tuxedo drainage improvements, Tuxedo Avenue drainage improvements, we received 3 quotes for that. Give you an idea, they were $12,000, $18,000, and $21,000. We picked the 12. So Eric is issuing a purchase order for that, and that work will begin shortly. The Passaic Avenue sewer lining, the videos have been done and reviewed, and it's good news. The videos show that it's not a structural problem with the pipe, so it can be slip lined, doesn't have to be dug up, and we'll schedule that shortly. We're going to advertise the replacement of pump 63 at the Southfield Water Plant. That'll be advertised at the beginning of January. That's something you do year round because it's an indoor type thing, so as soon as that comes in, we'll avoid that. And then finally, to answer your, Frank, your question, we are going to do this test at night to see, because we believe that's what's happening. They all work, and the problem is the reason they're shutting off is because someone's turning on a light on the 2nd floor. The photocell picks it up and shuts the light off. So we're going to figure out ways to solve all those individuals.
In that case, wouldn't a timer work better?
The the time, it might be a good idea, maybe we switch to a time when you do that. But they are right now all wired. We also could look at one circuit. There's a couple of solutions we can come up with. We'll make it work, though.
They all work, though. They all work.
Oh, they all work?
Yeah.
And the photo
That's the
cells
problem.
work. So it's just a matter of when something, when a light shines on it, it shuts the light off. So that's the problem. And like Mike, I'd like to express my wish to everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holiday Season, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Steve. And I guess it's fitting that the last voice, John, you hear from the administration is our administrator, Eric
Good
Mauer.
friend, Eric.
That's right.
I'd like to echo the comments of the mayor and others regarding Councilman Bertolo and Councilman Sinning. It's been a pleasure to work with both of them for my mere 14 years here. I wish John all the best as he moves forward and offer my condolences to the Sinning family. And just for Dria's benefit, the contract we're awarding tonight for tree planting is 68 trees, so we're at the upper end of the range that you reported. So that should go through. Some more good news. Tonight, a couple months after I had been told it would happen, the pedestrian bridge over 208 has been reopened following repairs. I have told the DOT that the borough will not assume any responsibilities for maintenance, i.e. the clearing of snow and ice, unless we have a written agreement with the DOT delineating our responsibilities and any requirements or limitations for fulfilling those responsibilities. Think the weight limit on the bridge. But I've left open the possibility of short-term action on our part while an agreement is being drafted. Other entities, notably Passaic County, do have jurisdictional agreements with the DOT when they assume maintenance responsibility for bridges. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. I've had preliminary communication with the DOT and they seem receptive. I will keep you posted. Meanwhile, I've notified the school superintendent where things stand. One topic of discussion at today's joint insurance fund meeting, which I attended, was the relatively new law on the books, which went into effect December 1st, which extends the statute of limitations in civil actions for sexual abuse claims, expands categories of potential defendants in civil actions, and creates a 2-year window for parties to bring previously time-barred actions based on sexual abuse. Given the greater liability exposure for entities, including municipalities, for abuse of children under their care, and the potential impact on insurance rates, the Morris County Joint Insurance Fund, of which we're a member, in conjunction with the Municipal Excess Liability Fund, has promulgated a model policy aimed at preventing and reporting abuse, which they are asking member municipalities to adopt. I've distributed this model policy for review and comment to the Board of Rec, our attorney, and the police chief, all of whom should provide us input as we draft our own policy. I hope to have our new policy in effect before summer. There's a training component in this for elected officials. Those councilmen who attended the league conference may have already have attended this. For the rest, the course will be offered online beginning in March. The JIF adopted a policy to provide for retention of funds for the duration of the extended time frame for filing claims, particularly for municipalities who might leave the fund, to increase the likelihood that the fund has enough money on hand should we receive claims. The good news on this point is that since the window for previously time-barred suits opened on December 1st, and despite reports of claims being filed against churches and other entities, our JIF has yet to receive any, and only one Mel-affiliated JIF, one consisting of school districts, has had a single claim filed. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that our joint insurance fund will have little exposure in this regard. The NJDOT has notified us that they and the New York Susquehanna and Western Railroad will be undertaking an upgrade for the Diamond Bridge Avenue crossing, which will close the road for up to 5 days. No date has been set, but we will receive advance notice of that work taking place. Our Director of Revenue and Finance, Ms. Foley, and I held the administrative budget hearings with departments for the 2020 budget at the end of November. The budget requests and hearings identified a number of issues to be discussed with the Finance Committee when we begin our meetings next year. One more piece of DOT news. We received notice that the borough has been awarded a $451,000 $451,000 grant for the repaving of Parmalee Avenue. The early notification from DOT, compared to recent years, will allow us to get an early start on this project this spring so that it should proceed in the same time frame as the regular road program. And I'm requesting a meeting of the Council IT Committee either later this month or early in 2020 to discuss the replacement of our phone system. Like with our servers and Windows 7 on our PCs, the computer serving as the switch for our phone system has reached end of life, with support no longer being offered at some point this coming year. So I'll talk to the committee chair, Joe, and we'll set a time for that meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Eric. Council President, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Joe, start your way.
Where are we with the remaining upgrades getting out of the older computer system due to the fact that the support for anything below Windows 10 is going to expire?
Our servers have been replaced and upgraded. At the previous council meeting, you authorized the replacement or upgrade of
19 days.
What?
19 days.
No, that work. The stuff has been ordered. We have a resolution on tonight to approve the purchase and upgrade of computers for the police department, and so that will be proceeding shortly thereafter.
Okay. I know that if you guys are not aware about the 2020 tree planting, we continue to have issues with the person who bid on that. In fact, the stakes that were supposed to have been pulled up after the spring 2017 planting still remain. Is there any legal action, Michael, that we can take against this vendor?
Yeah, we could. We could also withhold any final payment.
Well, there is no final payment.
That's right.
And there's no
There's
maintenance
no bond
bond
for
or
this.
whatever. So, I mean...
We could conceivably. Tonight, though, we are recommending that you approve an ordinance that would cancel the contract we awarded him. So if there's a financial impact to him, it's going to be pretty direct. You're going to take away a contract previously awarded and award it to a different vendor because he's proven to be an irresponsible contractor.
There'll be a lot of work pushed onto the DPW just pulling up those stakes and cutting off the ribbons.
We'll talk about what we can do from a legal point of view, and if there is legal action to pursue, we'll report back to you.
Is it a new contract, or is the other new vendor picking up the old contract?
It's a new contract.
It's down.
Well, I know who it is, but I wasn't sure if he was picking up the remainder of the
No,
first
this-
contract.
This is the next contract.
It's the next contract.
It's the next
There's no
bid.
absorption of the first contract.
Yes.
No, this is the next bid. There was a significant difference in bids, but we were able to work it so that basically
Sure.
by cutting
So
one
it was a
tree out of
qualified
each
person.
species, we get 68 trees, which is a good deal.
I would note that even though this current contract doesn't reflect any change in how we pay out for the work done, I don't have a concern because it's a local contractor who we have a better working relationship with. But it will be my recommendation for future contracts that there is amount of money withheld, some reasonable percentage of the total that doesn't get paid until the delayed work on specifically the removal of stakes gets taken place of. So then it will be easier in the future should we have a contractor that we have this situation with, just be holding some money, and if they don't comply, we'll be able to either do it ourselves or have somebody else do it and use the money that we've held back.
Makes sense.
I had one other, but I did not write it down. I apologize. If I remember, I'd ask
We'll
to
come
go
back to you.
Thanks.
John?
Steve, just a quick question before I leave tonight. Royal Ave storm drain system. We went for a grant for the last phase of that.
Right. Did not get it.
We did not get it. Did we have a cost on that? And I would just ask, maybe we can put that into DPW next year and maybe take a look.
I'll update it, John.
You know,
I want to make sure it's accurate.
We have to finish it.
Right.
You know, and I'll fill Rain in so she stays on top of it more too. But, you know, we've spent, I guess we've done
We've got
3/4
close
of the
to the
work.
end, right.
We got to finish it. So whether we get the grant or not, I think
I'll
we
get
got to take a
I'll
look
get
at
an
it.
updated estimate to finish it.
Got it. Thank you. That's all I had.
Bruce?
No.
Dominic?
I just have one question for Maria. I thought we're planting in the fall.
because of the summertime.
We were going to plant in the fall, but between, from the point that the bid was sent out and came back in, there was a frost, and then it became an issue. I mean, at least when I knew who the low bidder was.
Right.
I personally was involved with them in 2018, and raised some concerns related to that they hadn't even considered the last round, which then prompted Eric to take sort of the next steps that got us to bid. So at this point of the year,
Just
it's
gonna
kind
plant.
of too late. So it makes sense to move it to the springtime, and then we'll look to do a fall planting next year that would be specifically targeted to the tree removals done by the river.
Okay. Thank you.
Eric, I had a question regarding the bridge at 208. You said it's opening. Did they put a posted weight limit on it?
No.
Did they install bollards in front of the
No,
entrances?
but my understanding is that the weight limit was increased so that anything that can basically fit on the bridge would, you know.
Yeah, the DOT standard, the DOT standard for loading a bridge like that, if it won't accommodate anything that meets that width, it must have a bollard. So it's been upgraded dramatically in terms of the strength. I mean, the bridge failed because it rotted.
Well, yeah, because everybody said, oh, that was always the spot where the puddle always was, and it makes a lot of sense, but I never like to assume that.
I will get you the rating on it, but it's fairly high. It should be what we call in engineering an HS20 loading, which means it can handle a truck. And there should be no question about that, because I think it's 8 feet curb to curb, which means that a pickup truck could drive through there, so it has to be able to handle that. It has to be able to handle the Bobcat that went through there, because if it cannot, by state code, you have to put a bollard.
Well, that's why I thought there should have been to begin with, and I just want to verify one way or the other whether it be.
Well, you didn't need one before, because if it had been inspected and kept in proper maintenance, the bollard wasn't necessary. It only failed because it wasn't maintained properly. So it's a different situation. But I'll get you the answer. I'll give you the specific loading, and I'll tell you what it can handle.
Although we shouldn't have to, I would like to know.
No,
I'll get it for you, no problem.
are we responsible for cleaning the snow for the winter?
No, it's not ours, but I would hate to see someone, if it wasn't sized, I would assume any engineer now would say, we're gonna size it and double size it because of what happened, but
our schools-
never assume.
Actually, it was not built to a better standard than it was built before. But, as I said, it had deteriorated, and it had no maintenance, and that's what caused it to fail, corrosion.
Yeah.
But our school kids are crossing there. If it's full of snow, what are we gonna do?
Well, that's why Eric's gonna work out an agreement with the state.
I've told them that I don't want to assume responsibility for it without an agreement that tells us what we can put on there, what the limits are, that doesn't make us responsible for other maintenance, like the structural issues that occurred, that we're simply responsible for clearing snow, and that we have the right to put the equipment we need on there to do it. Now, if they say, yeah, we're going to do an agreement, which they've sort of said that without really saying it yet, can we do it on an interim basis while an agreement's being drafted? Yes, but I think we need to have an agreement, as they have in other jurisdictions. And when other places have, and the county, when the issue happened last spring, and people thought it might be a county bridge, the county administrator called me and says, we have jurisdictional agreements for every bridge, every DOT bridge that we have responsibility for. We don't have a jurisdictional agreement for this particular bridge. We never had a jurisdictional agreement. They should be willing to provide us one, and I'm telling them what we need to have in it.
So his questions may give me the answers I'm looking for, but obviously we need to ask those questions to cover our insurance liabilities. So, okay. Anything else, Mayor?
No, that concludes the report of the administration.
Have a motion to record the administrative agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Bennett, second by Bertolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Introduction of ordinances. We have ordinance 2242-19, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the Borough of Hawthorne, Chapter 540 zoning to create Article 27 municipal housing liaison for the purpose of administering the borough's affordable housing program pursuant to the Fair Housing Act. Be resolved, this ordinance does now pass the first reading, and said ordinance be further considered for final passage at the borough meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Hawthorne at the Municipal Building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on January 22nd, 2020, and at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. And the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the said ordinance in the Hawthorne Press once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with notice of its introduction in time and place, when in said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second?
Motion by Mealy, second by Bertolo. Any questions?
Yes. Is this required by state law, Mike?
Yeah, this is required in any settlement agreement. The settlement agreement that we're pursuing with 204 Wagler Road specifically identifies this position. So it's a position that is required by COA and also now by the courts in any settlement agreements. So this is the person who oversees compliance throughout the municipality on every project we approve. Is there a deed restriction? Are the units properly occupied by people who should be? If there's a resale or a new occupant, does that person properly income qualify? It's a pretty big job. The good news is it's funded completely through our housing trust.
It is.
It is. So the good news is it will not cost our taxpayers a nickel.
So this position will show up in our salary ordinance when we reintroduce that next year.
Affordable housing just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
Affordable for some, but not for all.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Bennett,
Reluctantly, yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Wotecki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions, consent agenda R213-19 through R221-19. R213-19 state tax appeal, R214-19 tax lien redemption, R215-19 award small truck and passenger vehicle repair, R216-19 change order number 3 for the Goffle Hill tank remediation, R217-19 purchase order for 2019 Ford Transit van, R218-19's purchase order for police computers and software upgrade, R219-19's opposed Assembly Bill A5830, R220-19's approval of a 2020 council meeting schedule, and R221-19's award of 2020 tree planting services. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mealy, second by anybody?
I'll second it.
Bennett?
Yep, that's me.
Any discussion?
All right, so can we discuss 219-19?
Yes.
So I read it. Why would the New Jersey Assembly be trying to take it away from the municipal government and giving it to the county? Why wouldn't that be coming from the county?
Because they're trying to have less assessors on the payroll at the municipal level, and they want to have more control at the county level, and have less appeals locally.
What the reality of this bill, what it really tries to do is, there's an alleged cost savings that's going to be realized if you shift the defensive tax appeals from the municipalities, which frankly have done a really good job managing them, to the counties, and that putting it under one body will somehow save the taxpayers money. What it really does in our case, look who's the sponsor. In fairness, we like Assemblyman Scher, but he's also a councilman in the city of Passaic. They're trying to shift the burden of tax appeals from Patterson, Passaic, and Clifton, larger cities, to our smaller communities where we have literally one property under appeal right now. The cost to us will be dramatically higher if this bill was to pass. This is typical fee shifting between larger communities and smaller, which is why I do urge you to join in the opposition to this bill, because it's not good for Hawthorne.
Thank you.
It also makes it more expensive in the long run, because their assessors are gonna have to come out of their zone to come into where we live, and they're not familiar with our areas where our tax assessors are.
And this position doesn't exist now. And in fairness, look at what we've done with our tax appeals. We literally have one property under appeal in the entire borough right now from 150 with no bonding to pay for tax refunds. We've done a great job with managing it, and to take it away, why would you fix what's not broken?
To me, I think it's all about control. Roll call.
Woteki,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Bertolo,
Abstain on R-221-19, yes on all others.
Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Off consent. R222-19, interfund transfers, R223-19, budget transfers. Give a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bertolo, second by Neely. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Woteki,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of special county committees. Joe, we'll start your way.
Drea gave my report.
Thank you, Drea. Who's not here? She left. John.
I guess my last finance report, another successful year with the budget. Eric, thank you, his administration, and Lori Foley, and everybody that's involved in it, department heads. One of the great things I think we've done, Eric, over your time is you don't take enough credit, or you don't get enough credit for what you do with our budget. So I'm going to miss our finance meetings. If you ever need a guest to come back and sit in them, I'll see if I can clear my calendar. But moving forward, I'm sure Raina, my replacement, and the rest of you will stay as frugal as we are at spending the taxpayers' money. That's it.
Bruce.
Yeah, normally I give a very brief report, but with Councilman Lane out tonight, I guess somebody's got to pick up the slack here. The Public Works Committee met on Monday to discuss two items of importance, actually. First involves a drainage problem on Barker Avenue, a problem that's caused by a combination of topography in that area and the fact that there are no drainage structures on Barker Avenue. And since we're scheduled to mill and pave Barker as part of our 2020 road resurfacing program, it was decided that we should divert some funds from one of the alternate streets on the 2020 list to install drainage structures on Barker before we mill and pave it, and that should alleviate most of the problem, we hope. The other problem involved a sewer issue on Victor Place that, due to a misunderstanding or miscommunication, resulted in raw sewage entering the basement of a private residence, and as you can imagine, one very unhappy taxpayer. So to ensure that this doesn't ever happen again going forward, Eric is in the process of formulating a policy that'll be distributed to all relevant personnel explaining who does what and how such incidents are to be handled from now on going forward. And we're also going to check that sewer line because according to the resident, this is the third time he's had this problem in the 27 years that he's owned the house. So we need to find out what's going on over there. And that concludes the Public Works Committee report.
Dominic.
I would just like to wish our people in Hawthorne a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'd like to wish my buddy John Bertolo good luck, and good luck to our Little League for Cooperstown.
Okay. Chamber of Commerce, they want to thank everyone who participated and those who watched in the annual Santa Parade. Another successful parade was had by all. And they would also like to invite everyone who would like to come to the Chamber's Company of the Year dinner on January 31st at Macaluso's. This year's honoree will be Van Dyke Park Place Assisted Living. If you're interested, contact Meg at the Chamber office, and she'll be more than happy to get you some tickets. Correspondence, we have none, but we have bills. We also have one bill that was on the dais tonight for PSE&G, which will be added to the list. Can I have a motion to approve the bills plus the one on the dais and forward them to the treasurer for payment? Motion by Bennett, second by...
John? Your last name?
Second?
Sure. John Bertolo.
Pay the bill.
Pay the bills.
Can you second if he's
Roll
going to
call.
abstain? Michael,
I'm sorry?
can you second if he's going to abstain?
Yes,
Yeah, he just abstains on the...
he's just going to abstain on the one.
Woteki,
Abstain on the fire department, yes on all others.
Mealy,
Yes on all of them.
Bertolo,
Abstain on Downs Tree Service, yes on all others.
Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Public comment, and I open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand, come to the microphone, state your name and address. This is you guys.
Anthony.
No, they're going first, not you. Come on, Little League.
Anthony. Who's gonna-
Okay, let's go.
Who's your spokesperson?
I know you
Johnny
didn't.
K, you always talk.
Come on up,
I
guys.
know you didn't come just to
Bring the
watch
whole
us.
team. Let's go. Get the whole team up there.
Okay.
We can all stand behind them like a backstop. Slide over, guys. Come on, get in
You
there.
have to introduce
There you go.
yourself.
Okay, give your name and address.
Well, I can tell you my name is John Kemmerly, and I want to thank the town for, just funding our, without our baseball fields, we wouldn't even be able to come on this trip. Along with our coaches,
come up here.
obviously, Mr. Delalo and Mr. Maskell, this is Teddy,
He's in the back.
He's coming around the back.
and Mr. Hahn and Mr. Bland. I personally feel that we have a great group of, coaches and not only teammates but friends. And I want to thank obviously our parents for letting us play baseball, and obviously funding the trip as well.
Tell us about your trip so everybody knows. Where are you going?
So we're gonna go to Cooperstown, New York, and we're gonna play in a 7-day tournament. And yeah, it's just, I think it's gonna be fun. And
What position do you play?
I play center field.
Okay.
How much is this trip gonna cost you guys?
According to Mr. Eden Walker here, $22,000.
So you're asking the whole community to get behind you and give support, right?
Yeah, definitely. If we can get help from the community, that would be great. We stood outside of King's to fund for our trip, and we made a combined total of $500. And if I'm not mistaken, we divided all the 9 people contributed, and I think we divided the 500 by something, and I'm not.
We're not math age for baseball players, Johnny. Right.
$55 each, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I just want to thank. Obviously, you guys are doing a great job. And,
Thank you. If you print out that picture with you guys and Mr. Bertolo and have him sign them and put them on eBay, I'm sure you can make some money out of that.
A lot of money.
Yeah, you get as far as Wes Patterson on that, I think.
But we wish you well, and we hope that people seeing you on TV will help you raise the money you need. And obviously, we hope you go all the way in the tournament and bring home a big trophy to Hawthorne.
Now, you guys are the 12U Hawthorne Cubs baseball team, right? So everybody knows at home that you guys, and there are opportunities to sponsor silver, gold, and platinum sponsors, right? For $100, $200, and $500. So there's some big shots up here, Johnny, that will probably be platinum sponsors. So make sure you touch base with them.
Where can you get a sponsorship? Anywhere in particular?
we actually have a GoFundMe page.
Do.
That we could, but other than the baseball tournament, I just want to say thank you to Councilman Bertolo for Council Vice President Bertolo for all he's done for the town of Hawthorne.
Anthony, we have. You can never have enough, Councilman.
So, dear merchant or sponsor,
Open the window.
we are reaching out to you on behalf of our traveling all-star baseball team, 12U Hawthorne Cubs. We will be traveling to New York to play in the Cooperstown Dreams Park in August 2020. It's every young baseball player's dream to play baseball in Cooperstown, New York, the home of baseball. We are proud to announce that the Hawthorne Cubs baseball dream is coming true. These boys, including myself and our coaches, have been playing together since we were 9 years old.
It's like 50 years, right?
It doesn't give you an address to mail to.
We are
There's a 5-minute limit.
extremely happy to be in this tournament.
It's on a roll.
There's 10 of them. 15.
The excitement is through the roof. We are very proud of our achievements. dedication, and
Yeah,
hard
my
work.
address. Mail it to
We will be the first team ever to be representing the town of Hawthorne in Cooperstown, New York. In order to achieve our dream, we are currently seeking support from our town. Businesses and friends like you, as we prepare for this great experience to play in Cooperstown Dream Park. The team relies on family fundraising to cover expenses for our coaching staff and is 100% volunteer. Our team must raise over $22,000 to cover our expenses for the week. We are hoping to reach this goal with your help. Additional money will be raised and added to the 12U Hawthorne Cubs Baseball Cubs Cooperstown Fund. This fund is to set up for future teams attending Cooperstown. We hope you can help us with a monetary donation. Attached to this donation form, no donation is too small.
Or too large.
Make sure Mr. Boswell gets one of those forms.
Already filled it out. You're done.
I have a question for you, though. On your form, it doesn't have a place to mail it. There's no address.
Well, if you go speeding down Lafayette, Anthony will stop you and you can give it to him.
So when Mr. Boswell gets stopped tonight, you can just give the check.
But these are done on a personal level, so they're handed out from one of the kids and/or coaches to someone personally, and they are collected personally as to keep it on a personal level because we do appreciate everything that comes in towards the team. So we don't want to put a mailing address on there and somebody gets lost in the shuffle. We want to show them our true appreciation by collecting the sponsorship in person and saying thank you.
So I gotta write a check and then go find one of these kids?
So we're gonna find them walking down the street, or?
Well, if somebody wanted to bring one to, say, Borough Hall,
I think we can find someone
we
to
can
get it
find,
to.
like, say you ran into the borough clerk or someone, and she took it from you, somebody could bring it to the borough clerk's office, or to our administrator, Eric, and they would get it to Mr. Delala, right?
Yeah, we'd
Bring
be
it
sure
to the
that.
mayor's office, most of it would get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so you may want to, if you don't have an ability, if you're watching at home, tell the people at home they can bring it right to Borough Hall and right to the clerk's office, to our administrator, and they'd be very happy to be a go-between.
Thank you.
Don't thank me, thank them.
Our sponsors will be recognized with a team photo.
All right, Johnny, you've done enough.
They have one more thing to say.
What do you have to say? One more thing?
Good job, John.
Johnny took up enough time, he did a fine job, so we're gonna leave it at that. It's all about the kids, so they're the only ones that should speak on this, I feel, so. Thank you very much.
Anthony,
Anthony? Can we just ask each boy to just tell us their name and their position, maybe? Some of us have older kids, so we're not familiar with some of the faces.
they can do it right from
Let's
where
go, roll call.
Awesome.
First, last name, position.
There you go.
Your first one.
Brody Corcoran, I play left field.
All right.
Good job.
My name is Ian Baird and I play catcher.
Awesome.
My name is Johnny Lopez and I play right field. My name is Anthony Lowe, I play shortstop and pitcher.
Good job. How do you like the coach? Terrible.
I'm Andrew Mask and I play catcher. My name is Andrew White and I play shortstop. I'm Aiden Walker and I play pitcher and first base. I'm Kaden Hanna and I play pitcher, left field, and first base. I'm Buddy Lively and I play outfield.
I'm John Kenworthy and I play center field.
And team spokesman.
Nice job, guys.
Good job.
Like Eddie Payne with the king of the court. Like Eddie Payne with the king of the court, only four
With
people.
the coaches?
You did great.
All of you guys? Yeah.
Hold on.
Do it in front of the camera?
Perfect.
All right.
Yes.
Come back.
Line up in the front.
Backs against the wall, heads forward.
We'll stand up.
Wow, you know that.
Yeah, we'll stand
down, don't you?
Look to your right.
Which finger do you start with?
Squeeze in there, Joe.
Assume the position.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Mayor, you can't jump up again?
I could.
Yeah. All right, well,
I don't know.
We're gonna jump.
But I gotta get in between John and Joe.
No.
Can't be on the end.
No, there you go.
Wait, there you go.
Hey, Joe, you wanna get in?
Nope.
They won't cut me out, Joe. They like me.
Who are you?
Over here.
Cooperstown.
We got one more comment.
Okay.
That's
All right, it's not too late. If you're real nice, your parents will probably take you to sprinkles. Just a guess.
Mr. Bertolo.
Good thing you're retired, because you just lost a bunch of votes.
That's cool night tonight.
Good job, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, we already bought him seriously.
Thank you, council.
Anytime.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
The wheels on that.
It's a mayor's wellness program.
The old one weighed a lot more, I have to say.
You're getting stealth.
Yeah, no, that's go crazy.
Come on, kids.
Let them walk out.
Frank, let me answer. It's designed, if it is less than 6 feet in width, it's designed just for pedestrians, 85 pounds per square foot. If it is 6 feet to 10 feet, and it is not permanently restricted, it has to handle a 10,000 pound, 5,000 pound truck.
But I think it's under 6, isn't it?
I think it's probably,
6 to 10, it has to handle a 10,000 pound truck.
Is it more than 6 feet?
It is more than 6. So it have to, so it doesn't have a bollard in, it has to be able to handle a 10,000 pound truck. We've done this analysis before because the Bobcat is about 3,500 pounds. It should have never presented an issue with that bridge, with the bridge had failed. So just pedestrians, it's 85 pounds per square foot, that's less than 6 feet. If it's more than 6 feet, then if it's not permanently restricted, it has to handle H5 loading, which is 10,000 pounds, if it's 6 to 10 feet. And if it's beyond 10 feet, which is, I think it's 8, beyond 10, it has to handle 20,000 pounds, H10 loading.
okay.
And I'll get the spec from them, but my guess is that it is, because I don't think they put a bollard in, so it has to be
They didn't.
designed.
There is no
So
bollard.
there's not, right, so it has to be designed to handle H5 loading, which is 10,000 pounds.
Okay.
15 it is, Oh, really? That's not. They are balanced. You see what they are? They're on the plans, they're balanced on the north.
They aren't, I didn't see any bollards when I was, when I walked it today.
If they have bollards, they wouldn't have designed it for 15,000 pounds. There's no reason. Plans are called for 15,000. Okay. I'm gonna take a look. You have it? Well, I'm gonna look at them. I'll get them anyway. Sorry.
Okay, does anyone else in the public wish to be heard?
Oh, boy.
Lady in the second row,
Get to know her.
actually third row.
Raina Losa, 89 Minerva Avenue, Hawthorne Environmental Commission Chair and Green Team Chair. Just want to present tonight the plaque, and I want to thank Councilman Frank Matthews and John Lane, who came down with me to the Sustainable Jersey Annual Luncheon, where we were recognized for our silver for our third time with 500 points. So I would like to present this back to the mayor, because this is on behalf of Hawthorne.
Thank you. It's still that same ugly plaque that we had before.
It's a recycled material. It's all sustainable.
It's a recycled plaque.
Yes, it is. So we're good for 3 years.
Say Hawthorne, it's the old town.
So we're,
Manchester, says Manchester Township on it.
no, it
Says Hawthorne.
yes, it does.
No, and I'm very honored to get this back and remain a silver community. I know you've already started working on gold, so
We'll see.
I'll get you the sheep so you can get it done.
That's all right. That's right. So just really want to highlight tremendous amount of work went into that application. And it's across the entire borough administration, all the departments, all the commissions, all the boards, all the volunteers. I'm the person who's the ringleader who puts it all together and working with all the different organizations. But it is a team effort. This is not one person. This is the whole entire community. I just want to highlight the areas that we filed for the 500 points. So under energy, under food, this is the farmer's market, this is the community garden, this is the green business recognition, this is the buy and support local campaigns that we work with the chamber. We did thank you for the ordinances, the resolutions you passed about the animals, and companionship, sustainable land use pledge, the energy audit. It is every single thing. We pushed the envelope with working with the administration, with the communications, with all the work that we've done on the whole upgrade of the website and the information on there, working with the police chief on the O&M and the emergency response procedures that we have, dealing with the vulnerable populations, the programs that we have with senior citizens. This touches every single thing that we do in this town. We have a lot to be proud of. The anti-idling, the mayor's wellness program. There's a lot of programs that go on at the library that are fabulous for all of our community, senior citizens, youth. And you just saw the baseball team going to Cooperstown next year. A big part of the wellness program is the whole Board of Rec, all the sports program, from the Little Leagues to the adult programs that we have here. I mean, it spans across the board, the work that we do. And so what I'm going to be doing next week, we will see in the press, it will be a half-page ad, and we are recognizing all of our participants at Cell Recreation, the Green Fair, and our partners that we have. And I just want to list them out because it's really important, especially the local businesses. They give generously donations to our events as well as all the events in town, and I'd like to always recognize them. I always say at my annual environmental meeting, when you get the certificate, when you go in there, say thank you, because I don't think they get thanked enough with all the asking from all of the community. We ask for donations. So it will be in the press. I'll put a letter together, but really it's a team effort across the board. Just want to recognize my donors: Andy's Corners, Bagel Express, Philly's Midway Arcade, Bogies, CK Crystal Nails, Dunkin' Donuts, Elite Gym, Goffelbrook Farms, Hawthorne Movie Theater, Maria Party Planner, Marie Mahan Pottery, Mr. Cupcakes, Olson's Pharmacy, Puzo's Salon TJ, Sprinkles and More, Stewart's, Tasty Pizza, The Chocolate Box, Game Cave, Billy Rosa, and Whims and Wishes to generously donate. Participants, this is all of the events. This is Animals Need You, the Bear Resource Management, Chet Sense, Veronica Dicko, our Hawthorne author, Hawthorne Cheerleaders, the Fire Department, Hawthorne Garden Club, Hawthorne Historical Society, the Hawthorne School of Dance, the Recycling Department, Shade Tree Commission, Make Your Own Bee Habitat, Norwax Cleaning, Green Cleaning by Teresa Mola, Pappy's Juice Box, Park Avenue BMW, State County Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Paws in Hand, Re-Image Design, Zakari's Judah, World Paper, World Wild Bird Unlimited, Learning Tree, Vegan Lifestyle by Elizabeth Barker, Yoga with Gianna, and the Northeast Beekeeper. Those were all participants this year and generously gave their time.
Raina, you mentioned Dunkin' Donuts. We have two in town. You know which one it is?
Dunkin' Donuts, I think, I know I'm going to mess it up. I don't remember, but I know it's the one who's always contributing.
That's the one that's on
Goffle
Road down by West.
Yes.
85 West?
84
Yeah.
Goffle.
84
That's the
Goffle.
one.
Excuse me.
They always,
I just want to make sure they get credit.
correct. And the partners here, the Boy Scouts Troop 30 and Mayor and Borough Council, you're always behind all our projects. The Board of Education, the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Richard Spirito, the faculty and staff, the Hawthorne School System, the Lincoln Middle School Science Club, and the Hawthorne Oncology Club. Can't thank enough the partnerships that we have built over the years, and we're going to continue doing that in the future. But that's the key of trying to get things done and trying to move this forward. And just really thanking everyone for their support and dedication in implementing our sustainable vision, because we're actually doing it and showing it, and we're not just saying we're doing sustainability, we're actually doing it. And we're making changes. It's great. So I really want to appreciate your time, appreciate that. And I want to announce we are doing a styrofoam collection drive. It's our winter drive, January 4th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Clean styrofoam, no peanuts, no food containers. I know we had people come with food containers. They washed them. They were so proud of themselves. They washed them. Unfortunately, we can't take them because they have still had food contact with it. So, and the place that we're going to is Haskell. It's very close. It's nearby instead of the one in Springfield. So it's January 4th, Saturday, so please keep your styrofoam. Christmas is coming.
Raina, we're also looking at the possibility of recycling Christmas trees that day as well.
And we'll include that in our press release. So we're going to have dumpsters there. And the DPW brings it down to the facility in Haskell. We do not get tonnage for this because it's all air. But I'm hoping that we could get some kind of letter saying that we're doing this. And also, really, the main part is we're getting the styrofoam out of the garbage. It's coming off of our tipping. The goal of the green team and the borough of Hawthorne is going to try to create a year. So we did one in October. It was very successful. We had one in January. So we're going to try and get it on a cycle for our residents to use styrofoam.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raina.
Keep up the good work. Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting. Motion by Bennett, second by Watecki. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Closed session. Pursuant to NJSA 10:4-13 and the Attorney General's formal opinion 29-1976, I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution CS09-19 that the public be excluded from this portion of the meeting in order so that the council may discuss affordable housing litigation. Items to be discussed in closed session can be disclosed to the public when the course of action is determined and the decision has been reached. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Bertolo, second by Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Give us a second to shut everything